Aho, bonjour, Jack. Richard Abbey and Deshnakas. So I am having a little technical problems with the video on the SEMA that I made, so it'll be coming out maybe tomorrow or something. I got to work on it. I'm going to be, doing some more videos in the next week or so, during the next week or so on seed germination and stuff. I think it's still early, spring sort of came and then fell back into winter again for a lot of folks in the country. So likely most of you haven't got past germinating much anyway. I'll try and help you through the progression of it. We'll do more videos in the future on planting and so forth, throughout the season. Try and help give you a little helpful tips and so forth on what to do, to have a successful year. I want you all to have a successful year, believe me. Part of our mission here is to spread the seed throughout our band, and of course, I want that to be a success, right, for all of us, right? So yeah, there's something else I wanted to talk about real quick here. Doesn't have to do with the germinating. Maybe some of you all noticed in the Facebook group that Sam Navarre has a post up right now about your clan and whatnot, and it seems that there's a lot of confusion about some of those things. Now, I'm certainly no expert. Sam's far more of an expert on our band's history and the different families. And I mean, really, truthfully, Sam Navarre is probably the best mind on the subject of what families are from what clan, and I mean, the guy's amazing when it comes to those sort of things. You can tell him your grandfather's name, and he'll trace your line back for 4, 5, 6, 7 generations. And he can do that off the top of his head a lot of times. Truth is that Sam Navarre is an underappreciated mind in the citizen Potawatomi Nation, and it's tragic that the government let him go. The tribal government let him go. Cutting your own throat on a lot of issues there. I try never to criticize tribal government, but I honestly feel they made a big mistake with Sam Navarre. Because, after Jerry died, Sam was really the next best mind when it comes to chronicling the various family lines and so forth. Anyway, that isn't actually what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was something that I noticed in that Facebook post that a lot of folks are getting confused about, and something that I think sometimes I may confuse people as well with things I say. You may hear me refer or read, in the group when I make posts and stuff, where I refer to us as Shishibeneyek or Shishibi, in the singular. If it's got a K on the end, basically it's that's the plural. It's kind of like a S in English. When you see an S on the end of a word, it's a plural form. So when I use that term Shishibeneyek, what I'm talking about is the ethnic term for our band. right? People say CPN or Citizen Potawatomi Nation. Well, that is the tribal government of our band, okay? But ethnically, we are Shishibeneyek. Collectively, we are Shishibeneyek, which means the duck people. Now, there's a couple different stories that I've heard about where that comes from. And the one story I've heard, which is the, I don't know, maybe nicer version, is that we were really good at canoeing. And we were folks that knew all the little rivers and creeks and whatnot. And, you know, we were heavily involved in the beaver trade back in the day. So we knew all the little rivers and creeks and tributaries in our neck of the woods there on the lakes. And some people say that that's where the name Shishibeneyek come from. Was we were like ducks on the water. You know, our little boats, or our little canoes. Another story that I've heard, and it may be more truthful, I'm not sure, you know, I wasn't there, so I couldn't tell you honestly. But this other story I've heard is that it relates to people who, you know, our band were mostly, or almost all, converted in the early part of the 19th century. By Father Benjamin Petit, and that all the Catholics would wear a ribbon tied around their neck, a wide ribbon around their neck, symbolized that they was Catholics. It was sort of simulating the priest collar, right? Emulating the collar of the priest. And so that all of Father Petit's congregation would wear these ribbon around their neck, kind of like a choker or a tie, right? And that to some folks it looked like a mallard, you know, like the way a mallard has that ring around their neck, and so the story goes that that's where that came from. Some of the more angry leftist postmodernist types, you know, the ones that are educated in you know, the big universities and whatnot, and got their degrees in the humanities and the social sciences. Some of them, you know, say that you know, it's like a slavery kind of thing, but I don't think so. I think it's more of a you know, a show of loyalty and solidarity to Father Petit and to and to the new religion, and so I don't really care anyway. It's come to mean, you know, it's in our language. It's what we call our band, so I think Shishibeneyek is the more appropriate, you know, rather than to say, like some folks will say, I'm a CPN. Well, you know, really, if you're not part of the tribal government, no, you're not. You're a Shishibeneyek. You know, the CPN is your tribal government. And so people kind of mix that up a little bit, and so that's the thing to remember, is our band is the Shishibeneyek, you know, the Shishibi. You are a Shishibi from the Shishibeneyek, right? And that's about it. Just something that was, you know, kind of floating around in my head a little bit, and I wanted to share with y'all. I will be making some new videos this week, as I said. Look forward to seeing those. Mainly having to do with germinating. Tomorrow's video I'm going to be making is going to be about germinating your sema seed. It's tricky. Sema is a little bit more tricky in some ways than, you know, it's not just sticking a seed in the ground, and you know, they're so tiny. They're like a grain of salt. You know, they're that small, or a mustard seed. And so they're really tiny, and you can just blow them up with water pressure. So it's important to kind of mist them and so forth. But I'll go over all of that tomorrow, in tomorrow's video. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks a lot. Bamapi.